Welcome to the Genius Way Show with your host, Ben Hummell. The aim of this show is to provide education, encouragement, and insights for people who are on their own personal development journeys. As a psychotherapist, teacher, author, and creator of the Genius Way process, Ben will focus on identifying common challenges to living a purposeful life, and will share valuable psychological and spiritual tools to help you make healthy and empowering life changes. We hope you enjoy the show.
Hey friends, welcome to the Genius Way Show. I'm your host, Ben Hummell. It's great to be with you this week as we're going to get into a really important topic, namely time and genius, how those two things relate to each other, how you can use one to get to the other, and so forth. So as we get into this topic, I want to kind of point out a couple things that are just obvious and, just kind of salient to each one of our lives. Number one, even though we don't know individually how much time each of us has on the earth to do our work, to bring our genius out, to fully express ourselves, we do know that everybody has the same amount of hours in a day. At least I think we know. We can talk to the quantum physics nerds out there in the audience, and we know that time can slow down in different places and different circumstances. But let's say, for the sake of argument, everybody's got 24 hours in a day. All right. So with that 24 hours, and again, not knowing how many 24-hour periods we have, within that 24 hours, there's a reality that a lot of us don't really land on, very much until we really, really think about it. So we will spend that time on something. Okay. We must spend it. In other words, the giver of time, whatever that is, says, you've got 24 hours today. You've got 24 hours. You have no choice but to spend it. As you're alive, you're going to be spending it some way. Okay. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say something that is, might feel a little weird, but we spend our time on what's most important to us. Okay, let's just sit with that for a second. We spend our time on what's most important to us. And let's say, you have a problem with me saying that. Like, well, not really, because what's most important to me is going to the lake on the weekends and being on my boat and catching some fish, or what's more important to me is to be with my friends down at the beach. And, that's what I'd rather do that all day long. Okay. So I know that's what you would choose to do, if you had the choice. But when I say we spend our life on we spend our 24 hours on what's most important to us, is because each of those moments, the moment kind of moves along, the present moment, like a bubble, we kind of move along in this 24 hours. We are choosing every moment what we're spending our time doing. And let's say, I'm at work and I really don't think that's the most important thing, but I'm here because I have to be here. If you look deeply, even that have to be, you're making a choice, and you are saying, this is more important to me than anything else. Like, in other words, making enough money to pay my mortgage or feed my kids is more important to me than hanging out at the beach. Because literally you could abandon your life and go somewhere and live on the beach and sleep on the beach and eat coconuts, or, scratch the earth for food. You could do that if that was more important to you, but you're choosing not to. Okay. So I'm getting kind of dramatic here, but the fact is, whatever we feel is most important is what we're doing. And again, which part of us is saying what's most important, right? So anyway, the 24 hours we will spend it doing what we think is most important. And so the trick is, since we have to spend this time, what do we want to spend it on? What is beneath that choice that we don't even know we're making? Okay. And I know this sounds a little wobbly, but let me just keep going and I'll get there. All right. So what's beneath this choice that we're making every moment to do what we think is the most important thing? All right. So when you have, this is where we got to talk about having your own life mission statement. Have you guys ever done that before? What is my life about? What am I doing with my life? Not just today, but in general, over the span of my life. What is about? So for me, ever since I was, very, very young, I knew that my life was about spiritual, psychological, personal development, personal growth. I felt and agreed with a lot of the philosophers and psychologists and spiritual teachers that life is for growth and self-realization. What am I? Who am I? What am I doing here? What should I do while I'm here? What's the best way to spend my time, right? And so with that personal kind of mission statement, that idea of like, what am I doing with my life? I can sink down and look at my days and see how much of my day, how much of my 24 hours can I spend on that, right? So we know that we're going to sleep for hopefully 8 hours. We know that we're going to be spending time eating, working, being with our family and friends, and so there's precious little other time to kind of address that big mission statement question. Why am I here? What am I doing here? What is the point of this? Right? And so each one of us has to answer that for ourselves. And it's in that answer that we find our genius. It's in that answer when we force it, like, I need to look for this. Why am I here? If I made you give me an answer to that, one of those answers that you give is going to point directly to your genius, because your genius is about how you express your life, your inborn talents, gifts, callings, what you think is important here, to express with your life. And that translates right into how should I spend my time? So genius and time, and realizing that we have to spend our time, and we must, and we will spend that time. Those things are kind of really, really deeply interlocked there. So in this earthly planet plane existence, we have to use our time wisely if we're going to uncover our genius, our authentic expressive self. We have to use time to do that, right? And then when you do that, you got to see, what do I do with that time? How do I use that time? That's the next big question. But first we have to get clear on, I have time, don't know how much, but I am going to use it. And it's that important thing of I'm going to use it on what I think is most important. So the question comes back to, what's most important for you? Have you defined that for yourself? And have you said it definitively, like I just did? I am certain for me that I am my happiest. I'm at my best. I'm at kind of the highest point I can get to when I am working on personal development issues, when I'm trying to be honest with myself and others, when I am sharing my own realization with other people to help them, have that for themselves. And, I'm certain right now, I mean, it might change next year, but right now I am certain that that's what my mission statement is. That is what I'm doing with my life. And that is important. Okay. That is important to me. And that's all that I'm really talking about. We need to find, what is that for you? What is that important for you that you will spend your time on it? Okay. So I want you to take just a look at what you've done today so far. What have you done today? What have you spent your time on? It's not, just look at it clinically, made some eggs, watched TV, took a walk, whatever it is. And then you got to look at those things that you did and say, are any of these things representative or in service to my personal mission statement? So for me, using this example, I'm making this TV show right now. And this is right in line with what I've said and declared and decided is important to spend my time on. And so, as I'm doing this, there is a sense of satisfaction and fulfillment that I'm getting right now, exactly right now, from being right on my mission statement and using my time to do it. In other words, this time feels very, very well spent. It's also an investment because the more I do it in this way, the more I get out of it, the easier it becomes. I get better at it, right? And right in the very moment right here, there's a feeling of like surfing on the edge of a wave. This, the way that I do my work, it's not rehearsed. It's coming straight from my heart, straight from my awareness. And being that much in the moment and being able to express it, to me, feels like one of the most wonderful things in the world. It strikes right on the footprint of my genius. And that's like, to me, there's nothing better. So I wish this for you. And that's why I'm making this show. And that's why today we're talking about how to spend your time in order for your genius to be more available to you. Okay? So let's take a look at this short video just about this subject. And when we come back, we're going to get into another aspect of time and genius.
Everyone's got 24 hours, right? But why does it feel like some people do more with theirs? Here's the secret. Whatever you spend your time on, you get better at. Think of time like a muscle. The more you work it out, the stronger it gets. So, what are you flexing today? Every moment is a choice. Are you scrolling through social media or are you learning a new skill? Imagine spending just 30 minutes a day on something you love. In 1 year, that's over 180 hours. You could become a pro at anything. But remember, it's not just about doing more. It's about doing what matters most to you. Your genius shines when you focus on what you love. So, take charge, plan your time, make choices that reflect your dreams, and watch how you can master anything. Ready to make every second count? You've got this.
So, in ancient Greece, in the ancient Greek language, there are actually two words for time. The first word is chronos, and that's the time that we're all familiar with. The one that, that we use in the clock, the one that we use to kind of measure how long things take, when to be somewhere. It's kind of that chronological time, chronos time. And that's the one we're all familiar with. And there's another time, though, too, that they use, another word for time. And this word is called kairos. Kairos is sort of described as, and like the opportune time, the time to strike, the time to do an action, the right time. And one of the ways that it came about was, like, if you've ever seen a weaving machine, where I guess it's called a loom, where one I don't know the terms for, but one bar comes down, one comes across, and right in between there, you put a new thread in. It's a very clumsy explanation, but it's a time when in between these two functions, something can go in. The other meaning of that word is it's kind of like a suspended state of time, a timelessness, a time or a space where time seems to stand still and things take on kind of a different kind of hue, a different type of feeling and look and kind of energy, right? So the reason that it's good to have these two ideas of time is because when we are trying to uncover our genius, we use chronos time to get into kairos time, because genius happens in kairos time. And let me explain that. So have you ever seen someone who you like, a performer of some sort or an athlete or something, where you're kind of just looking at this thing and you're just mesmerized because you really love this art form or this sport or whatever it is, and you're just kind of transported to a different place where The clock isn't ticking. You're just kind of suspended there witnessing this, and you're kind of experiencing it within yourself. That's your genius getting activated by somebody else being in their genius, right? And that's what Kairos time is like. It's kind of like you're kind of floating in this present moment, and you have really no idea how long anything has lasted, how long chronological time you've been there. So one thing you might want to look, if you ever look at a video of a dancer named Baryshnikov, you can see that sometimes when he jumps, he will kind of just float there in the air. It's kind of crazy to see. And it seems like he's just like suspended in the air, But, any performer, any athlete, anybody experiencing their genius at all, not just performers and athletes, they get to enter that space where time is kind of suspended, right? But to get there, you have to use Chronos time, the 1 second after the other, to practice being able to get into the Kairos time. You have to use the Chronos time because that's the 24 hours that we're given. We have to use that in service to that genius or our expressive self. And what do I mean by in service to that? So again, next week we're going to talk about writing your own personal mission statement. But for today, suffice it to say, when you get to a place where you're like, this is what my life's about, you take the time that you have today, the chronological time, and you actually spend that chronological time getting to know your genius better and expressing it and practice expressing it as a way of kind of, acknowledging this is what's important to me, So let's say this, we're given an example, let's say I'm going to work and I'm working so that I can pay my bills and so that we don't get thrown into the poorhouse and, have no place to live or nothing to eat, and so let's say that's kind of your thing. So I have to work. I have to be there. Okay. Very good. So if you're at work and you're still carrying that have to, you're making that more important. However, you could be at work because you want to pay your mortgage, but the way that you do your work at work can be a practice of expressing your genius, right? And so in that way, it becomes more important for you to be in your genius. In other words, in your individual, authentic nature, doing your work, than just being like, oh, I'm showing up here and I hate this job, but I'm going to stay here anyway. Okay. So I guarantee if you show up at work in your genius one way or another, that's going to turn into a better situation for you one way or another, because you are making your genius or your expressive self that you were born with, you're making that the important thing to express. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, so using our time, using our Chronos time in order to get in touch with the Kairos time means I'm using my 24 hours that I'm given today. Here's your ticket. You get 24 hours. You get to do anything you want with it. And my guess is you're going to do the most important thing to you. And let's see what that is. You use that ticket of 24 hours to learn about the Kairos time, the time when you're in your genius, the time when time is suspended and you're kind of just feeling fulfilled from expressing what's most important to you. Okay? So again, take a look today and see, see it in these terms. What was most important for you today? Okay? So today is Saturday for me. So one of the things that was important to me was not working diligently on my genius, but was to take a rest from the hard work I did this week working with clients and coaching clients, right? So today I just kind of took it easy because that's part of my mission statement. I know that if I work too hard and only grind it out I'm not going to get a lot out of it. But instead, I took the early part of the day and I was able to kind of relax and refresh myself so that I feel kind of fresh and vibrant right now for this show. Right? So what did you do today? What was important for you today? Okay. And you might say, well, I didn't do very much. I just went to the grocery store and I just, hung out and fed my dog and played with my dog in the backyard. But I want you to see in those moments, that was most important to you, right? You may not have consciously chosen that as important, but still, the reason that you chose it is because it was the most important thing in that moment. Can you choose a different thing? Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? But you got to see first what you are making most important to spend your 24 hours on. Because you get only 24 hours, you have to spend it on something. What are you going to spend it on? Right? And so, again, there's kind of like a habitual choice on what I spend my time on. Then when you go a little bit deeper, you're going to see that there's another way to choose what's important to you. So there's important on this level. Then there's importance on a deeper level of like, why am I here on this planet? What is my life for? When I'm ready to die, what will I be happy that I did? What will I have done in this life that I'll say, man, that was great. That was a great life. I did it. And I didn't leave anything undone. I didn't leave anything unsaid, any love ungiven, any kind of, important expression for me unexpressed. That's what we're getting at here. So to get to that place, you have to come down just another layer underneath where we usually choose what we do to it's important for me to choose to spend some of my time developing my connection with my genius, my innate expressive self, which is kind of like what I've got to say my piece here in this world, to express what I feel is the most important and to not leave it unsaid, not leave it unspoken, right? So, all right, we're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to do a guided visualization to help you get to this aspect of how you're spending your time and how to see what is most important to you in how you spend that time, okay? Take a look at that. We'll see you on the other side. Hey guys, I'm really excited to let you know that I'm finishing up my new course, the Genius Way Process course. This course is for anyone who wants to discover what's in their genius, their inborn gifts, their talents, and their callings. In this course, I'm going to provide you with the 10 life skills that we all need to access our individual genius and to make it a part of our everyday life. If you'd like to know more about the Genius Way Process course and when it's available, go to thegeniusway.com and sign up to get notified. I can't wait to share this with you. Close your eyes and take a deep breath in and then deeply exhale. And imagine that you're just waking up from a night of refreshing sleep. You feel awake and refreshed and ready to move into your day. You suddenly remember that this is a special day of the year that is reserved for you to spend your time on whatever is most important to you. Take a moment to make a mental list of the 3 most important things in your life to spend your time on. What are those 3 things? What makes these things important to you? As you're thinking about all this, you become so absorbed in your thoughts that you don't see that several hours have already gone by. And now as you look at your clock, you realize that you only have time to do one of these three things on this special day. And due to the limited amount of time you have, your choice becomes more important. Which one do you choose? What makes this one thing more important than the other two? Now see yourself spending the rest of the day doing this most important thing. How does it feel to be spending your time in this way? How do you feel about your choice? Remember that you can always get to this level of clarity of what you want to spend your time on each day. And remember that you will get better at whatever you choose to do with your precious time. And now, with this experience fully intact in your awareness, and when you're ready, open your eyes and come back into this room. So how was that for you? Were you able to gain any insights into how you're spending your time? I hope so. So one of the things that we've got to realize here in, taking a really close look at how we're spending our time, how we're using our Chronos time to get to the Kairos time, is that, a basic reality here is whatever we're spending our time on, we're becoming better at that thing. Whatever it is, that's kind of the unspoken rule. And so the importance of making a conscious choice of how you're spending your time is to know that whatever I'm doing with this time, I just got better at it. I'm going to get more proficient at it, whether that's, worrying about money. If you spend all your day worrying about money, you're going to get better at worrying about money. And, trust me, I'm not trying to be flippant or glib about this. This is just really true. So instead of worrying about money, you might say, okay, I'm going to hold an open space to make the money that I need. And I'm going to spend my time, researching how I can increase my income, something like that. Right. So, we got to take responsibility that, again, whatever we spend our time on, we're becoming better. We're becoming more of an expert on it. So look again into your life this day. What did you become better at today? I'm not trying to make you feel guilty or anything. I'm just saying, just look at it like a clinician. Look at it like you're just doing a survey. Hey, what did you spend your time doing? What did you get better at today? How have you developed your technique at this thing to be even better at it than you were yesterday, right? Again, it's not to scare you. It's just look at it. We are given this 24-hour period of time. We must spend that time. We have no choice. We will spend that time on something, guaranteed. The only choice we have here is, what do we spend it on? How do we spend it? Right? And there's one path to spend this time getting to know your genius and how to like get in touch with your expressive self. And what I mean by that is the things that we were born with that we're kind of individually mandated to be, to express, to embody in this life, right? And there's one path to do that, and it's a conscious path. It's a path where I'm not doing this by chance. I'm doing this on purpose. I am spending my time purposefully and consciously getting better at how to express myself for a fulfilling life, right? That doesn't happen by accident. And there's a reason for that, which is another topic for another show. So here is, here is something that you can definitely work on every day, sinking into that realization, okay, right this second, right now, what am I getting better at? What am I doing? What am I practicing? How am I spending my time to get better at this thing, right? It's very sobering, but in order to do this kind of work, you got to be sober, You have to be sober in terms of like, my time is going to be spent. There is no choice, and I get to choose what I spend it doing and consequently getting better at. Okay, so we're going to take another short commercial break, and then on the other side of that, I'll send you off with some words of inspiration.
Ben Hummell's writing comes from a deep well of experience, practice, and wisdom. The Genius Way teaches you the life skills you need to find your own unique genius. Summoning Genius helps readers to turn a midlife crisis into an opportunity for personal growth. You can find Ben's books on thegeniusway.com, Amazon, and most online booksellers.
All of us are living in relationship to time. And each of us has to learn how time is used to create our life experiences as we live and grow. So we're all given the same amount of time each day to spend, and depending on what we spend it doing, thinking, or practicing, we are effectively using it to become better at whatever we're spending it on, whether that's beneficial to us or not. So the secret is to decide what you want to get better at, and then spend some time on that each day. If we choose wisely, what we spend our time on will bring growth, mastery, and life fulfillment. And that's our show for this week. Thank you guys for stopping by. As usual, I enjoy spending this time with you. And now here is your self-inquiry journal prompt for this week. So think back on your day and write about what you spent your allotted time getting better at. Okay, once again, think back on your day and write about what you spent your allotted time getting better at. All right, cool. So until next week, friends, I want to invite you to stay curious, be kind to yourself, and remember that your genius has something to say.
Thanks for watching The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummell. Make sure to visit thegeniusway.com for the resources you need to help you on your personal life journey. You can contact Ben at ben@thegeniusway.com. And you can follow The Genius Way with Ben Hummell on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks for streaming The Genius Way Show with Ben Hummell.